Hello and welcome to episode number 8 of the Church Doctrine, the long-form, rambling interview program that you have come to know and love. Previous episodes featured Brother Andre Marie, my buddy Frank Wright, Carrie Gress, Lori Calhoun, Michael Hitchborn, and we also have an episode with Isaac Padilla, the Catholic fitness coach guy, and another episode here today. And this is going to be a really interesting one because we're going to cover some ground that we haven't covered before. We're going to cover a little bit more of the music scene, but not the music scene that you're thinking about. There won't be any naked babes hugging snakes running around here or anything of that sort. But we will have some music here, but it's probably not the kind of music that you're thinking about. So our guest for today is a former missionary or a youth minister of sorts who has made his way into the world of rap. Now, this is interesting. I guess I left the proper noun out of that. The world of Catholic rap. What's that you said? You didn't know there was Catholic rap? Oh, yes, there is. And it's actually pretty good. As a matter of fact, it's actually really good. I'm going to play you one of the tracks to show you, or to let you hear and then to see just how good and how interesting and maybe even inspirational it can be. So our guest for today is known as Enoch. He secretly has confided in me his real name, but I'm not going to share it with you. So, we're going to talk with Enoch here today, the Catholic rapper, and welcome him from, I believe, from your place or your home in Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
Are you in the Covington area? Are you with that group over there, or are you somewhere else?
No, I'm Central Kentucky. I'm about an hour and a half from Covington, so I'm with the Regina Paci's FSSP community here.
Okay, all right. And how long have you been in Kentucky?
4 years. I moved June of 2020, right in the middle of COVID.
So you were in, okay, so just a little bit of a backstory. You were in San Diego.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. So was the Corona Doom the straw that broke the rapper's back and made you leave California? Or?
Yeah, it has been building up for a while. I didn't want to live in California longer. I wanted to find a more of a conservative state, with more freedom. The Corona is what really did it for us. We just got up and left. We did the Abraham way. We sold everything we had, got in the car, and drove. We bought the house and the property sight unseen, and we just got here and loved it.
Now, wait a minute. You're going to have to explain this term to me, the Abraham way.
Yeah, Abraham, when God said you got to go there, okay. It was just out of faith. He just got up and left, and it was just what God saying, out of California, and this is where you're going to end up, and this is where we ended up, just out of pure faith.
So you did the opposite of Jed Clampett. You packed the family up from California and moved to Kentucky.
yeah, that's right, exactly. Yes, Central Kentucky.
Did you know you were? I mean, so you bought the house while you were in California. You guys knew where you were going.
Yeah, yes, sir. We bought the house in California, sight unseen. And then so we have two homes in a 10-acre property, and my in-laws live on the other house. They flew in summer of 2020 to check it out. We definitely took their word for it, and we got here June 19th at 1 a.m. and we've loved it ever since.
I mean, when you remember the date, and then when you remember the time, and that's what women remember about having babies. So,
right, yeah.
This adds up.
I don't know if I remember my kid's birthday yet.
I actually remember my daughter's birth times. Awesome. Well, because they were born, they're named after two presidents. Madison is the first, Reagan is the second. And we wouldn't find out until they were 12 years old. I didn't know this. When they were sharing their birth times with one of their little autistic friends in the 6th grade, he came to me and he goes, "Mr. Mike, you're a genius." I said, "Why is that?" And he goes, I said, "Why am I a genius?" He goes, "Did you know that Madison and Reagan are born 34 minutes apart and that Madison and Reagan are 34 presidents apart?" And I went, "Okay, dude, you're weird, Quentin." No, and I said, "Quentin, are you?" And then I went, "Did you count that in your head?" He goes, "Yes, sir." And so I went later that day and I got a book and I went, 34 minutes, 34 presidents. True story. But they were named months before they were born because we knew they were girls when she was like 3 months pregnant. So they were named months before they were born, and they came out exactly 34 presidents and 34 minutes apart. And I can tell you this, so I know the 34-minute interval. So since you know the time that your house was basically born, did you name it?
No, we tried to name the property under our Christ the King is what we named it. And then I still haven't gotten to a chance to put you know how the old school, those campgrounds they used to back in the 90s where they have this wooden, and you got the little chain with the sticking down, and they got, that's what we wanted to do when we walk, when you drive in right in the gate area over there, and we were just going to have, Christ the King. So we named the property after our Lord.
Yeah, but I wouldn't think you would want to tell your friends and family, yes, we named it. We named it Christ the King, and it was born in 2020 at 1:10 a.m. They're going, I think you're about 2,000 years off, dude.
That's a good point.
So,
I'm sure somewhere there's a numerical significance out there somebody can give me.
You know what? You know what? I guarantee you. There's an autistic trad out there that's going to cipher that up. They're going to.
Oh, there's probably plenty of those guys. Yeah.
They're going to watch this video. They're going to watch this video, and they're going to go, "I'll take that test. We're going to get to those numbers."
Yeah.
Tell me about when you were in San Diego, and well, first of all, are you a revert, convert, or a Cradle Catholic?
Yeah, revert. Yeah,
revert. So when so when would you say is the genesis moment or the event horizon of when you come back to the faith?
It was probably 2005, right when Benedict had just became Pope, was elected. JP2 had died, B16 just became Pope, and that's when I reverted back to the faith. I had left for about a year. I was going to the Rock, which is Miles McPherson, the ex-Charger player, had a gigantic non-denominational church over there. Very well ran, but it wasn't enough for me. So I came back 2005, right around that time.
And did you come back when because of Benedict, or was it something else?
No, not necessarily Benedict. It was more the Church Fathers. I've always said this: they're undefeated. For me, it's, logically speaking, when water is purest to its source, obviously. So if I'm going back to the apostles who knew the apostles themselves and they sound more Catholic than Protestant, then I'm going to go ahead and make an intellectual decision there. So it was mostly that. But because of the fact that the Church Fathers reverted me back to the faith, I was really into the church at that time. I was paying close attention to what Benedict was doing. Most converts and most reverts, you're on fire. You really want to know what's going on. So that's why I remember it so vividly about Benedict, because I was paying attention to his papacy early on.
If you were around back in 2005, you could probably count the number of traditional Latin masses that you could go to. We're less than 100. We're probably less than 100. And I forget the name of the website that used to catalog them, because I didn't go to my first one until 2012. So you can count me as a revert around 2011, 2012. And then when I went to my first one in 2012, spaced them out, and 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week. Set the hook, done, and have been there ever since. But in 2005, there wasn't really any place for you to go. Or maybe in Southern California there was.
No, there really wasn't. Honestly, I didn't even know about the traditional Latin Mass at the time when I reverted back, because I'm an Eastern Catholic, so we were going to the Eastern Rite growing up.
Okay.
My parents were Christians, so we'd go to Mass Christmas and Easter. Not every Sunday. It wasn't until mine and my brother's reversion that we realized that every single Sunday and holy days of obligation, you're supposed to be going to Mass. My parents followed suit, but we were going to Nova Soda. We were going to your typical Nova Soda, and I didn't start going to the TLM until 2015, actually.
It's incredible. When I talked to Isaac Padilla, Isaac had pretty much the same story. He kind of went back to the faith, and it sounded like his dad followed suit. And I can tell you another story of someone who I was the sponsor of, and who I guess I'm the godfather of her. Her parents had completely fallen away, and they were like shocked. They're telling me, like, we tried for 30 some odd years to convert this child. We gave up, and they had fallen away a little bit. And then she goes and converts and goes all in and converts TLM from the start. There never was anything else. And they're like, wow, we did not expect this outcome for her. And it brought them back. And now they're every Sunday. Well, let's talk about Southern California. Are you a California native?
You could say that. I mean, he spent so many years there. Most of my life was in California. Yeah. I mean, I was born in northern Iraq, so.
Okay. So California is as a young age, and you're California. That's a tough place to leave. California is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful and so many things to do over there. Yeah, you'll never be bored in California. It really is a beautiful state. It's so sad what they've done to it.
I was watching a clip just 2 days ago. The great Bill Walton, the UCLA great. Oh, what a great guy he was. The great Bill Walton, all those championships with Coach Wooten and UCLA. I want to say he was in either 72 or 76 Olympic team. Star. Didn't really make a good pro because he kept getting hurt. But Bill Walton lived in San Diego. And 2 years ago, he got fed up with what was going on with the mayor and with the homeless and the crime problem. And he went to the mayor and he goes, look, we're bike riders. We're getting attacked while we're riding our bikes. I actually saw the video, and he gave a speech up in front of the town council. He goes, I went to you. You told me you were going to fix this. It's been 2 years. It's gotten worse. You haven't done anything, and this is unacceptable. So, and if you've ever been to San Diego, I mean, Mission Hills, it's stunningly beautiful. It's very far south, so, you do get a little bit of heat. But, you have Mission Beach. There's just so much to love about San Diego. But apparently San Diego is a hellhole like Los Angeles is now. Is that right?
It's getting there. Yeah, downtown is pretty tough. Just like any other downtown, but it's gotten worse. Honestly, it's gotten really worse. And it's not only downtown anymore. You've seen the bad areas have gotten worse, and the great areas have gotten pretty bad. So, it's so tough. You got to pay $1 million for a shack, and then you've got the homeless person, shooting heroin right in front of your house, and it's just not a great place to live anymore. Or raise kids.
How do you become a youth minister? Is this something that someone asked you to do? Did you volunteer, or did a lightning bolt strike you? You had an epiphany?
That's a good question. Actually, what ended up happening was when I reverted back to the faith, we started going to Mass at the local Nova Sordo, and the youth minister, my very first Mass, and I'd really been studying the church fathers. My very first Mass, the youth minister said, we're looking for confirmation assistant teachers. And I was like, I'm going to try to do that. And then I met up with him, and I got the position, I guess you would say. It wasn't really a paid position, volunteer position. And then I moved up to head teacher for my specific class, teaching confirmation for the boys. Okay. I think we had it was the largest confirmation program in the entire diocese. We had almost 400 students for a 2-year program, largely Hispanic community. I stuck around so long, just being, going from one youth minister to the next. They had a pretty large turnover. Every 2 to 3 years, they get a new youth minister. I just kept sticking around and just becoming the glue for the new youth ministers. That eventually the pastor just ended up giving me the position in 2013. I got the job on Wednesday, and I got married on Saturday that same week. God is good. I got the youth ministry position, and I stayed probably about 7 years in that position. And I could not have done it without the volunteers and the helpers. It's literally impossible to do by yourself, especially those type of numbers that you're dealing with.
So at the time you were there, this was Bishop McElroy there, or
Bishop? Yeah. So we went through 3 bishops. Bishops, I think Cirillo was his name. He had passed away. He had cancer like a year after he became bishop. Before him was Braun. Bishop Braun was there, and then I think 2016, I believe. 2016 is when Bishop, or again now Cardinal McElroy, I guess, was there. Yeah, I remember him. We used to have lunch with him and the pastor when he would come do confirmation. We had to do 3 masses. We such a large number that I'd have to sit. I mean, unfortunately, I'd have to sit through those lunches with my Jesuit pastor and Bishop Carl McElroy at the time.
So, all right, we probably have some very interested evangelicals and Protestants that listen to this show because of me and the radio show. So they're going to be interested in checking out. What would you say is the difference? Or maybe you don't know, but what is the difference or similarities? What does a Catholic youth minister do that an evangelical one doesn't? Because the evangelicals have got the youth ministries covered. Now, the Catholics used to, because we, a youth ministry, basically you're kind of training to take religious vows at some point. You're going to become a brother or a sister or a priest. But that's not the case anymore, right? So now a youth ministry is something different. Did you have any youth minister friends that were Protestants?
No, not necessarily. There's not much of a difference as far as the application of how ministry goes in your normal parishes, normal sort of parishes, than you do with the evangelicals. They're pretty much similar in how they approach it. The only thing that I would say that is different is that most of the time the Catholics are going to they're going to implement a lot of the sacraments, confession, adorations that the Protestants wouldn't do for the students. So, but other than that, there's not much of a difference, especially the conferences. The conferences are very similar.
Did you find that if you gave good, solid doctrine to the young people, that they responded in good, solid kind?
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I would say that my youth ministry career, I guess whatever you want to call it, was broken up in 3 different times. When I first became the director of youth minister, I approached it differently. But when I started going to the TLM and reading St. Alphonsus and reading all of the moral doctors and just trying to understand the faith in a traditional sense better, it kind of shapes your conscience a little bit and makes you see things differently. Or approach the faith differently. I switched up how I did youth ministry, and I'll give you 2 examples.
Okay.
One time we had what's called a praise night, where we had your normal what normal people call praise and worship bands. I don't call them worship because worship is sacrifice. But you had the praise bands with their with your Christian rock music, and the band was up there, and then the kids were used to it because this is what youth ministers would always do. And it was great. It was fine. Everything went well. But then the week after that, I had adoration, Gregorian chant playing, and in the hall, not in the parish. Gregorian chant playing, and then I had 2 or 3 priests in the back just hearing confessions for 2 hours, and it was completely silent. The kids were on their knees, focused on our Lord, and one by one they would go back, and then they would have the priest hear their confession. At the end of the year, when I took a survey of what their favorite night was, 90% said that was their favorite night. So that goes to show you that they're really hungry for silence, they're hungry for a steady, good, solid faith, and they're hungry for confession.
You see, that's a great point for our audience, for our viewers and listeners, because what most people would tell you, especially the liberals mess everything up. It doesn't matter where a liberal is. Liberal in church, a liberal in politics, a liberal in school. No liberals. No more liberals. We're done with liberals. Liberals mess everything, screw everything up.
100%.
But they would tell you, and stuff like that. The kids don't want to be bored with chant. They don't want to learn a new language and stuff. And they like to get together and clap the hand and play the guitar. Then it get them into, they want to be part of the liturgy and stuff. No, they don't. They are perfectly content. Trust me, I've been at this now for 13 years.
Yeah.
They are perfectly content with being on their knees in the pews, being very reverent, and hearing a just really beautiful Mass. You'll see them in, I have been to Latin Mass in 3 countries and in 17 states now. So I think I am probably one of the U.S.'s greatest authorities on this. And I can tell you there's 3 things you will find in every Latin Mass parish. Right? If it's a congregation, there are 3 things you will find. 1, very reverent liturgy. You'll always be very reverent. 2, families. And I'm not talking mom, dad, 2 kids, a clothes hanger, and a cat. You know, the stupid window sticker that you see. Real life families, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, who knows how many children, all very well dressed, they're amazing, and all homeschooled. And number 3, there is always a priest that is willing, able, and ready to administer all the sacraments, traditionally speaking, at any point, at any given time, and confession is a regular part of all those prayers. There's not one I have ever been to where there wasn't confession before a Mass. And you can't say that in thousands upon thousands of Catholic churches around the world. And the kids are so, you know, one of the things I take away from knowing so many TLM families, Enoch, is just how well-adjusted the children are. They're not afraid to come and talk to me. Come on, hey, Mr. Mike, what are you going to talk about? Which saint are we going to talk about today or after Mass? Then you have to come up to me.
Awesome.
You know, I've had some of them send me letters and stuff.
Yeah.
They're not shuttered. They're not shuttered. They're not social miscast. They're not wallflowered because they're around adults all the time. And the other thing is because they're given a responsibility, I think, to help out with the house and the other children. They're like miniature parents. I mean, they're kids. but I find them to be far more well-adjusted in conversation than any kid that I've ever met that comes out of public schools.
Absolutely, 100%. And I can definitely tell you that myself. You know, not to knock any of the students that I was administering to in the public schools and you know, youth ministry that they were going to public school.
Right.
Headphones on, hoodies on, can't even look you in the eye when they talk to you. They just want to, and they're just not well adjusted, unfortunately. As they got older, you would find those that really took the faith seriously. It's the ones that came back in the summertime. I had a leadership training program, and we ended up having, I think, close to 100 leaders by the time we were gone, and they came back for each other. They just loved hanging out with each other, and a lot of times they ended up ditching their friends in public school, and they found a new group of friends, and they wanted to be at church every single day. They literally wanted to come. But I agree with you on that sense. If you come to our parish, please, you're invited anytime. The Regina Pacis in Kentucky, come say hi. You too, Mike, if you're in the area. It's funny, every single time one of the mothers has a child, has a little infant, all the teenage girls, they stand in line, they want to hold it. There's a natural sense of femininity there. I think it's just absolutely beautiful, and I think the TLM really does model that, and it shapes the conscience.
Translation, there is hope for the future. Not much.
There is.
Not much.
A little bit. Yeah.
but it is there.
It's there.
All right. Okay. You go through all this, youth minister. You're not a youth minister anymore. Okay. So what do you do after you're not a youth minister?
That was the toughest part for me. After 7 years, I mean, now I did work 3 jobs in California just to make ends meet because the one thing that my wife and I talked about early on is like, you're not working. And she agreed. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom her whole life. We have 4 children. We have 4 boys. We got another one on the way. Thanks be to God. And that's the one thing that we talked about. And I'm a big proponent of the idea of the husband goes out to work, the wife stays at home, because delegating the state to education and the virtue building of your children is just not okay anymore. You just can't do it. And you shouldn't do it. It should be up to the parents. And there's no substitute for mom. I can tell you that. So I am definitely 100% proponent on that. So we make sure. So I worked 3 jobs. But the hardest part for me, Mike, when I left ministry, is you get such a great sense of gratification, of just consolation every single time you try to minister to the students, to the youth, mainly because you want to bring as many people to Christ as possible when you put in that position. When I got to Kentucky, you don't have the schools, you don't have the churches here, and you don't have the pay, unfortunately, to be a youth minister where I'm at. And that's exactly why I started the music. That's pretty much the reason why I started the music. So
you started it for the youths?
It was 100% for the youth. And I realized, because, being with them for 7 years on a weekly basis, they got their headphones on. 80% of the time, they're listening to horrible rappers. And I've been rapping since I was in the 8th grade, to be honest with you. This isn't nothing new. My brother and I actually had an album back in 2012 called Spirit versus Flesh, because we've been doing this for decades. It wasn't until recently I picked it back up. I took about a 10-year sabbatical because I had life. I got married, I had children, I had to take care of your priorities and duties. And ministry fulfilled so much of that the music, took a step back. But I was doing it primarily for the youth. I wanted to put something out there where they can listen to that has a unapologetically Catholic message to it with the same quality and the same type of beats that they were used to with the secular world.
So do you make your own beats?
I do not. I have about 4 or 5 different producers that I go out. They're independent producers that I check their catalogs on a daily basis to try to see what new ones they got. And then if I find the beat that I like, we will negotiate a price, and then we'll go from there.
So do you have as you're developing a song then, do you already have the song, the lyrics and the title that it's already done, and now you're just looking, okay, you got an idea in your head, but I don't know what I want to put it to, and that's when you go shopping for a beat?
That's the other way around, actually. A lot of artists do it. Yeah, a lot of artists do it that way. Some artists do it the way that I like to do it, to be honest with you, is I'm constantly, if I'm in the car, and I'm going to the gym, and I'm in the gym, I'm coming back to I'm listening to beats. And I'm just trying to find the right one. And if I find the right one, that's when the concept, that's when everything else comes together for me. Once I build a hook on a song, I can build everything else around it. And that's what I think a lot of artists do. For them, it's the hook. That's the icing on the cake. That's the first thing that you start with. The title of the song, the concept of the song is really on the hook, the chorus, I guess people would say. And then everything else just gets built around that. It makes it pretty much easier. But I go with the beats first.
Okay. So some of the greatest songwriting teams, if you will, work that the other way. Just as an example, one that you may not know the name of, but you know all the songs, Elton John and Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin would write the poem, and he'd give it to Reginald, is his real name. He'd give it to Reginald Dwight's Elton's real name. Bernie Taupin would write the poem, Daniel is traveling tonight on a plane. I can see the red tail. He'd hand it to Elton, and he'd say, put that to music. And then Elton would construct a song around the poem. Or sometimes Elton would say, look, because he would say, he'd confess, I stink at lyric writing. So he would come up with a great little catchy hook, as you call it, right? And he'd come up with a hook, and then he'd write a little tune, and he'd hand it to Bernie and go, okay, write me some lyrics for that. So it could kind of go both ways there. But that's how that songwriting duo worked. But so you worked, though, from the complete other end. So rapping then kind of came natural to you because you've been doing it since you were a kid. Things that you learned as a kid, you should probably retain them through life. Although, you know, modesty and humility and all that stuff is probably not one of them. You got to work for those.
You got to work. It's funny because you try to work on humility, then you become proud of your work. So there goes humility, right?
I'm so proud of my humbleness. I think you got that sentence wrong.
That's exactly it. Yeah. No. I just. There's so many artists out there, even in the Catholic world. You got Hollowed is a kind of grunge Catholic artist. Margaret is more of a bedroom pop. She's got an incredible voice. Father Maximilian Dean, Francisco the Immaculate. Foundation is another one. They're a Catholic rap group. Prodigal, the new Catholic rapper, the Gen Z Catholic rapper that's coming out of the scenes. A lot of those guys, man, there's so much that I'm amazed by their talent because the 3 artists I named you with Hollowed, Margaret, and Maximilian, Father Maximilian, they play almost every instrument. Like those guys are just so beyond what I could do. I'm a lyricist, and that's about it. But those guys they could play the instruments, they can put things together that I can never imagine. So I just love that there is Catholic music out there with newer artists that doesn't sound like your typical contemporary Christian rock. It's newer and it's more fresh that I think that the audience need to start paying attention to because we're trying to compete with the secular world.
Well, do you think that there's a danger at all of when you're making Catholic rap or Catholic pop? To me, the Christian rock, if you will, or the Christian pop, always sounds very, I got to be gentle here. It sounds very, I know the intro, I know the conflict, and I know the resolution. There's nothing new. Yeah. It's very, I was down and Jesus came, and then I got further down, and then I lost Jesus, and then my Lord, and then I got further, then I came back up, and there he was, my Lord, I love you, you're a part of me. It really, look, I'm not trying to be, I mean, and God love those people. They're trying to, I'm sure they're trying to do the right thing, and I hope they never go to a Novus Ordo church and sing the Psalms in between. They don't ever do that. But the music is just, to me, it's plastic. I expect it, and it's like, to me, it's like you're trying to take something that is not that natural and beautiful to begin with, and you're trying to turn it into something that is good and beautiful. Is there a danger there? Because some old fuddy-duddies like me are going to go, well, what was wrong with chant? Why can't you Enoch me some chant out, Enoch?
I wish I could. By the way, what you just sang right there, Mike, is a hit record, man. I love what you just said, and we should record that, put some music behind it, and put it out there.
I've already forgotten it, so we're going to have to roll the tape back.
Yeah, we could speed it up and get Rick Barrett to tap dance to it. That'd be really fun. No, to answer your question, no. And this is something that I've been conflicted with as well. I think in moderation, and when I say moderation, I mean moderation, not. I think in moderation, Catholic hip hop or Catholic pop or what Father Maximilian does with this type of music, it's more blues, I guess you would say. Because here's the thing, I don't know if anybody is driving down, cruising down in the car, or is working out, trying to lift that last rep, is really doing it to Gregorian chant. Gregorian chant is my favorite type of music. To me, Gregorian chant is the only type of music where you can listen to at all times. You don't have, it doesn't have to be moderated because it doesn't appeal to the emotions. It appeals to the intellect. And I think it's a beautiful form. You can play it in your house all day long, and your kids, I think, go a virtue because of it.
Yes.
But if you are at the gym, for example, you're not playing Gregorian chant. It's not the right time and the right place. So, but at the same time, you don't really want to play the secular rappers because what you're listening to, your subconscious is picking up all of the horrible blasphemies and immodest content. So this is why I think, for me, it was, if I'm going to be making music, I made it primarily for the youth. But as I've gotten, the last 2 years making music, the feedback I'm getting is, hey, I'm listening to your music at the gym. And I realize, okay, I guess this is what it's for. In moderation, the person's at the gym, they're lifting weight, they're listening to, Enoch, I guess you would say, or they're listening to Hollowed or Foundation, whoever it may be. You got Catholic lyrics, a Catholic message going through that a beat that kind of helps promote an extra rep or the extra mile that you could take, because music has that effect on us. So, and one of the other things that I'm getting feedback from is parents will say, hey, after dinner we get the kids to do chores, we'll just put music on, and it just makes the time go by faster, and the kids end up enjoying doing their chores with some music in the background. We don't have to worry about the content because it's 100% Catholic. So I guess in that aspect of it, there's not much of a danger. What I don't recommend, two things I don't recommend, is none of my music or anybody's music other than chant be played in the liturgy. I don't think Catholic artists should even perform inside of a church. I think you find a hall or go outside. I think the tabernacle is set for liturgy and liturgy alone, or maybe a speaker.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I don't think that people should be doing is listening to my music all day, every day, as if it's the normal form of music. Those are the two things that I would say don't do, is consume the music at all times and play it in the liturgy. Other than that, I think in moderation, in proper times, I think it's okay.
So those of you that may be wondering, okay, well, now you got my interest up. What does this sound like? What are we talking about here? Let's do you call it the passion rap? What do you call it?
Yeah, just the passion. It's a song that actually I take this back, Mike. You're actually correct. You're correct on this. That was the only song where I found the instrumental after the concept.
Okay, this is my introduction to Enoch. Okay, and it was just a couple of days ago after we booked the interview. I said, well, I knew you, I knew of you, but again, aged old fuddy-duddy, I'm not walking around. Although, if you want to do some Run DMC, I'm game. I can do it. One day when I was chilling at Kentucky Fried Chicken, just minding my business, eating food and finger licking.
Good, yeah.
So if you want to do some 2 Live or some Run DMC at the end, we'll do it. No, I'm kidding. Well, I heard. So I put this on. I told Mrs. Church I'm going to put some Enoch on. She goes, "Oh, you're going to like it." And then she goes, that's Barrett's. That's Richard Barrett's guy. And when I knew that they were buddies. So now Barrett is not responsible for this interview. Actually, Magdalene and Rose is, but you know Barrett.
Yeah. Rick and I know each other maybe about 2.5 years now. I met him through Steve Cunningham.
Okay, Armed Catholic here. And you guys are on some sort of a club?
Yeah. Well, the first rule of the club is to not talk about the club. No. Well, I always say Rick Barrett is the godfather of the 5'2" club. 5'2" inches height club.
He's going to come in. He's going to come into comments. He's going to go, it's not 5'2", it's 5'4".
I got a chance to meet Rick for the first time in February in North Carolina at the men's conference over there in Charlotte.
Yeah.
For the first time, I got a chance to meet him for the first time, which was great. Because other than that, we were just been talking about almost daily through social media or just through texting.
There is a budding, growing community of very talented young Catholics that are right there at the influencer level, all in different fields, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And Enoch is one of them, and they're making their way here. We're blessed to be able to interview them, thanks to Magdalene, who's reaching out to all these wonderful people as part of the Church Doctrine. But let me cut to the chase. Let's do this. I want to play for the audience here. So this is you make your own determination. I don't make people's minds up for them. When I heard this, I'm going to play it for you, and we'll play it. We'll come back, and then I'll tell you what my first impression was. Deal? All right, let's do it.
Chanting and chattering, chains rattling, gather them like cattle while assassins ready for battle. Pharisees have had it, demand exchange with Barabbas. Deranged practice arranged by those in high status. While his fabric is tattered, blood stains on his habit. Half the crowd is cowardice, other half chant crucify him savages. It's so happening so fast, but for me it's the slow-mo. A pilot stands, extends his hands and proclaims, "Etche homo." Next thing you know, he's condemned to let the slaughter. I follow far behind in horror. Half the crowd is weeping, another half is applauding. Weight of the cross was so heavy, the crown of thorn was held down. Them soldiers beat him so bad that he stumbled and fell down. Then a woman approached him with a white cloth, wipes his bloody face with some of the skin came right off. I moved closer for a better position. She offered a drink, denying permission. I guess he was the physician who healed the blood condition. When she appears out in the distance, a radiant women approaching the victim. She kneels down in front of him, what a picture. I read his lips, I make all things new. Then the soldiers kicked him. I asked who this is, someone shouted, "That's his mother." My heart flooded, I froze. No mother should witness the son battered and beaten, treated like sheep. To balance a lady of sorrow, she keeps it silent. She wrapped her arms around him and held him for a while. It felt familiar, the type of comfort the only mother can give her own child. They grabbed their hands to clear his face. Pick up your quads, keep moving, cursing and whipping him, spit in his face. No justice, I'm raging. My frustration, I'm patient, heart's racing. I'm wasting time. Why don't anybody here put an end to this fallacious crime? I'd rather die a hero than live as a coward. I make my way through the crowd, squeezing, I'm freezing, heavy breathing. I'm so close, I can smell the bleeding. happening because of me.
So there we go with that. So my first impression was grit, hard, violence, tragedy, sad, sorrow, remorse. It's a story. There's a lot of emotion to it. Like there's a lot of grit in that. You could change those lyrics and make them completely and totally obscene. And that's what they do. But this isn't obscene. It's only obscene from the point of view that you're rapping about and you're listening to the story of Deicide. They're killing him. I mean, this is, but you know, people knocked when the Passion of the Christ first came up. People knocked Mel Gibson, especially certain people. Let's just call them Mediterranean Orientals. Were really upset with this. That's not the way. Did you have to show all that? And his answer was, yes, I did, because that's how it happened. That's what happened. And I think that comes through and in your Passion rap. That no, this is what happened. This is sad. It's horrible. It's violent. It's remorseful. There's death that's here. There is scorn, absolute abject scorn. You know, there's some hatred here. You know, but at the same time, the guy that's rapping the song is seeing this and going like, wait a minute, I love this guy. They can't do that to him. They can't do that to him. You know, what about this woman that shows up? You know, that's his mother. I liked it. I liked it. And I could see how, especially young people that have heard all these beats might be attracted to that and might say the same thing, and their impression may be the same. But they just might like the beat, too. Right.
No, that's an excellent point. And I appreciate you playing that and the commentary, Mike. Thank you. Yeah.
What did you think when you were writing? What are you thinking? Wow, they're going to kill him. I want to write a story about them killing him.
Yeah, it's funny how it is. There's an exorcist priest friend of mine. He's funny. He messaged me. He goes, I got an idea for your rap. This was about a year ago. He goes, instead of having the drums and the rhythms, why don't you do something over some sort of chant, and then just rap over that, tell a story. And I was at a friend's house, and I said, "Hey, I wanted to do a reverse, more of like a reverse song, tell the story backwards of the road to Emmaus." And then he said, "That's a great idea." He said, "But why don't you just do a song about the Passion? It's Lent." And I said, "Oh, instead of doing a story in reverse, I should just do a story of the Passion, but kind of give a twist to it." As if someone has been transported back and doesn't understand what's going on, doesn't know why this person is being persecuted, but he just sees this something different about this guy. He seems innocent, and then on there, I was trying to just paint the picture of anybody discovering Christ for the first time, and when they finally get to the scene, as if I'm this hero, I'm going to save this innocent man. He sees his sins and his every word, deed, and thought, on the cross, and then he realizes that oh no, this is all happening because of me, because of my sins, and then on there, I think what was cool is Steve Cunningham. I try to get everything that I've learned in the past, I try to put in. He told me that Eusebius at one point had said that the Veronica, who the face of Jesus, when she wiped the face of Christ, was the same person that was healed. The woman who was hemorrhaging, the blood hemorrhaging. Remember the story of the woman who touched the cloak?
I've heard this. Yes, I've heard this account.
Yeah, you've heard that account. Yeah, so that's why I said on here, I guess he was the one who healed her blood condition. It's almost as if somebody he was there, he was kind of a casual observer of what was going on during the time of Christ, but didn't understand what the whole thing was going until he actually approached Christ face to face, and he realized that this was all happening because of him. And that's how I try to approach the song, and it was, and that's what came out. And a lot of times it's accidental. Things happen throughout the song, throughout the writing process, and you get inspired by some things, and the final product is that.
Do you have a patron saint?
Do I have a patron saint?
Yes.
Like as a one of my favorite saints?
No, confirmation saint, patron saint.
Oh, so I'm Eastern Rite, so I was confirmed at baptism, like most Eastern Rites do. So my parents picked it. So I'm Saint Michael's my patron saint. Yeah.
Who's your rapper saint?
My rapper saint, I gotta go with Saint Alphonsus or Saint John of the Cross. They were so poetic, or Saint Ephrem, right? So poetic and fluid with their writing. It was just beautiful.
Well, you know, if you're going to talk about writing, St. Augustine usually comes up because Augustine is certainly known as a writer. There's so many. If you're in the Catholic world, there's no end of who you could, if you want to choose a female, you could take St. Therese of Lisieux or St. Teresa of Avila, St. Catherine of Siena. Now, let me do, in most rap, and even for the women rappers, the diabolical witches, sorceresses like Cardi B, they all have the same subject, though. Beyonce, they're all the same subject, which is females having sex.
Yeah.
The men are rapping about having sex with the females are rapping about being the object of sex. I mean, it's really kind of bizarre, but that's the way, from my ears, that's the way I hear it. So, but is any of the rap, because I don't know the whole catalog, is any of the rap, do we bring any, are there any songs about particular saints? And if there are there about any female saints?
No, let's see. If you look at my calendar, I do have a song called "Litany of the Saints." Well, I do name most of it. You know, a lot of my favorite saints are on there. I put that on there. But as far, I do have a song in my first album called "Saint Alphonsus," which is funny. It's actually not about Saint Alphonsus. The song is about your typical normie Catholic. That's just, he realizes he's just not getting anything out of the spirituality of your everyday, Catholic, spirituality today.
Right.
He's not getting anything out of the Novus Ordo masses. It's mundane, it's banal. And so he goes back to the writings of St. Alphonsus and adopts that type of sanctification, and his life completely changes and, to become holy. So that's what that song's about. It's called St. Alphonsus. But no, that'd be interesting for me to write. I did it kind of like a little. It wasn't a freestyle type thing, but it was kind of like it wasn't a song on any of my albums. I just put it out there. It's called the Saint Rap, to where I give a 1-line description of what the saint did, and then you have to guess who I'm talking about. So I did that, and I mentioned, I believe, St. Therese of Lisieux, St. Therese of Avila, Our Lady, of course, and St. Joan of Arc.
Whose feast day is today, by the way. The day we are recording this is the feast day of Saint Jean d'Arc, who is the patroness of my home city of New Orleans. And most people don't know that. She is the patron saint of the city of New Orleans. And, of course, she's the patroness of the city of Orléans in France.
Right.
Okay, so I asked the question because of this, and I guess I was going to kind of make a point, and I try not to make too many in these interviews. I'll let these guys make the point. But the rap world and the music world, and it doesn't matter if it's pop music with a twang that they call new country, which is just an absolute abomination, is all about the objectification and subjugation of women. So it's all of it. Yeah. It doesn't matter what genre we're in. When you unpack it, you get to the end of it. It is all about the objectification, sexualization, the sex with women. Now, there are men playing parts in there. Of course, we're not going to get into the parts here. But the woman, the irony is, even by the famous Taylor Swift and all that, the woman is the object of the song, usually, or a certain, she's the object of the song, and usually doesn't end too well for her. This is not the elevation of women. This is not the lifting up and the honoring here. The great irony is, because they hate us, And they say that we're this horrid patriarchy, we Catholics, right? And then our ortho bros, as Kennedy Hall calls you guys, my EO bros. They hate us because they say that we denigrate women. We make them slaves in kitchens with frying pans, jiggling eggs on a baby on the hip here, and a horrible existence. And they hate women. They hate womankind, etc., etc., etc. It is in the Catholic Church, though, and it is in the practice of Catholicism. I never thought about anything other than how smart and holy she was when I thought about St. Catherine of Siena. I never had any lewd thoughts, ever. True story.
Right.
And I honor, I say, St. Catherine of Siena. When I think of St. Jean d'Arc, I think heroine, I think holy, I think warrior princess. When I think St. Therese, the beautiful little flower, and just what can't you think about St. Therese that isn't good, true, and beautiful? You think about all the great saints. We honor and venerate the church. It is the Catholics. It's the Catholics that love and venerate and honor women. And hopefully, if it ever comes up, we'll do that in Catholic rap too.
That's a good content. That's a really good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah, because I've had songs where it promotes family, like domestic family, where the husband is sacrificing for them. But specifically, that the fact that we actually are the ones honoring women in a proper sense over the world is a good idea.
Okay, what's in the future for Enoch? No, wait. First, I have to know why Enoch.
Enoch, actually, it's a play on with words, so it's E-Knock, K-N-O-C-K. It actually means eternity knocks for all of us. But it's also so Enoch. So it's a both and type of play on with words type of thing.
So were you sitting around one day with the wife? Were you out with your EO bros? I think I'm going to start a band.
I was on Kennedy Hall, yeah. we were measuring beards.
Tell our viewers and our listeners. Today is May the 30th. Saturday is June the 1st, the month of the Sacred Heart. Obviously coming up here. You have a song coming. I think it's coming out June 3rd, June 6th.
June 4th, yeah, June 4th.
June 4th. That's
June
what
4th. Yeah.
Folks, that's what I said, June 4th. It's coming out June the 4th. It's a Sacred Heart song. Tell me about it. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, no, of course. So it's more of a melodic type of, it's kind of a fight song, melodic, something that, it's inspiring. And primarily because I think that the beat just calls for that inspiration itself. And kudos to Mark Goebel, the producer. It's really a song about how the Sacred Heart, how June belongs to the Sacred Heart. It doesn't belong to the alphabet group. It doesn't belong to anybody else but our Lord and the Sacred Heart. Who was our Lord's heart is meek and humble, and so the humility, of course, that's the main point. There's no greater example of humility than our Lord, and June being the other side, being the whole pride sense of it, is just a direct perversion of what actually is true, which is humility of our Lord's Sacred Heart.
Right.
That's what the song is about. Normally is it's just honoring the Sacred Heart of our Lord. And just putting out there in June and saying this month belongs to us. Whether you plaster on a T-shirt, or you have a Sacred Heart flag, or you're just going to be putting a bunch of stuff on social media. I said, hey, why not add a song to the whole mix and just put it out there for the Catholics to enjoy?
Is it called Sacred Heart? What's it called?
It's called Sacred Heart. Yeah.
Okay. So tell clue me in how in this digital age is a new song released? It used to be when we had record stores, they had big posters on the window outside, coming June the 4th, Sacred Heart coming to Warehouse Music, June the 4th. Did you ever have a Warehouse Music in California?
Yeah. When I was in my early 20s or late teens, it closed pretty quickly, but we had one inside the mall, actually.
They had, I think in California, you also you had Here music stores.
I've never been to one, but I'd have to ask my father-in-law. He's got a bunch of records.
Okay. So there used to be stores called Warehouse. Well, here in New Orleans, we had Warehouse Records. We had Peaches Records. And you would know your album release date, and you would make plans. I'm going to be, I could remember lines. I could remember people standing in lines for records, waiting for the store to open because they knew that on that date, that album or that single. Well, back in the day, I see radio got involved in all this in my vocation, and radio was kind of taken over and basically was subsumed by this demonic record thing they call the record industry. And make no mistake about it, it was demonic.
Still is.
It still is. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Worse.
They came in and they took radio over, and they took the spoken word out, and then we got into, well, we're going to play your favorite song. There's actually a great story. There's a couple of books that have been written about this. But so the single would come out to promote the sale of the album, but you would know when an album was going to come out because, as I said, movie posters, radio ads, and what have you, concert tours. This is the digital age, though. We don't have that anymore. I can release, I've made some songs, parody songs in the past, 65 or so.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe you've heard some of them, maybe you haven't. You just release it. You just say, we're going to start playing it today. So how does one release a new record in the digital age?
Well, there's a couple of ways to go about it. If you just wanted to make parody songs or just to make songs in the garage, you could release those on SoundClick. SoundCloud. You could release those on SoundCloud. You could put them. You could even just put the little lyric video. You could throw that on Twitter just for people to hear. But if we're talking about releasing music with the intent of having it distributed everywhere and all the major streams and people buying your album and buying your singles, and they've made it so much easier than you used to. What you used to have to do is you have to have talent. Like you have to be able to see. I don't have to have talent much anymore because you when it comes to singing or melodic rap, you have auto-tunes and such, but you have mixers and masters nowadays that could take any song, record it on any room or any format, and they can really turn it into a masterpiece, mainly because of the technology that we have today. So my mixing and masters, I do a light mix and I send it out to be mixed and mastered. My guy is in Denmark, so talk about the globalization of the world, right? And he's able to take my vocals and mix it and equalize it and do all that together, compress it and make it sound, as best as he possibly can. What you guys don't want to hear is my raw vocals because they're not great. I will tell you that. But nowadays,
why don't you?
It's exactly what it is. I should put a microphone in the shower. It sounds a little bit better. But if you're looking to get your music out there, you don't have to do what they used to do. You have to be signed back in the days. Now record labels won't touch you unless you have an audience. Because what artists used to need from record labels was distribution, money, and to get out there. But nowadays, what you have at your fingertips, the record labels have. They just have more money than you. If you go and get a loan and you use it for you, now you have every advantage the record company has. So the record labels now will actually find somebody that has a decent audience and a decent listening stream, and then they'll say, let's take it to the next level now with this artist. They're not grabbing somebody off the street anymore like they used to with a talent. So there's TuneCore that you can sign up for. There's DistroKid you can sign up for. There's CD Baby you can sign up for. And that becomes a middleman for you. That's a distribution company that goes out to Spotify, to Apple Music, to all of those, and they say, hey, this person has signed up for our distribution system. They've uploaded all their music. Everything is according to what it needs to be. Make sure your business is okay. And then they'll send it out there, and then all the major streams will pick it up and they'll play it. It's very difficult not to get in, to be honest with you. They'll accept almost any artist at this point.
It might even have made it more difficult because there's so much competition for ears.
It's impossible, yeah. And that's why being a Catholic rapper is greater because I got one niche and I'm focusing on the Catholics.
So is there a Catholic rap radio station that's going to spin this up on Tuesday?
Somebody's got to start one. Yeah, Catholic record labels. Yeah, that's one thing I don't think Catholics do as well as the Protestants is spend money on stuff like this. You know, although the movies are starting to come out that are a little bit better than they used to be. I would say that.
Yeah. Well, if you send me the song, I will debut it on the 4th.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, brother.
That's a radio station. It's a radio show, a real one. So
I love it.
Go back in the old days here. But we
That's
won't be able to.
It's very kind of you.
Well, we won't be able to give any copies away. I'm going to do my. And now coming up on the Catholic Rap Countdown, he's an artist out of San Diego, California, and he took his name from something that's done with a door. Coming up on Casey's Top Catholic 40.
You might lose half of your listeners at that if you say that. I don't want to do that to you, Mike. You're too good. You're too good of a guy.
Okay, what's in the future for Enoch? One more thing about the music.
Yeah.
Now, will you be charging for this song? Is it a pay download? So somebody just goes to iTunes and puts in Enoch and bambo, it comes up.
So all of my music is 100% free. So
Okay.
it gets uploaded to YouTube as well. So if you go to my YouTube channel Enoch and you click on releases, every song, every album I've made is listed. You can listen to right from there. You can also listen to it at no cost on Spotify. Now, if you want to promote the artist, obviously. We get paid through streams, but stream revenue is just so low. You got to be making, hundreds of thousands of streams for you to make any decent money. We make most of our money off of downloads. So if somebody wanted to promote me, and they can just go on iTunes or Apple and then download the song. I think it's like $1.99 or whatever it may be, and that money goes directly to me. All of it does.
Okay, so then you go buy a copy of the record. Sacred Heart coming out June the 4th. Actually, by the time this is out, it's probably out. So maybe we can time it so it does come out on Tuesday. Give some advice to our young budding rappers out there that are stuck doing Run DMC riffs.
I mean, have a versatile style, so that you can make melodic type of rap song. You can make old school type of rap song for those who are used to that, or you can make a newer school rap song. But I would say the content needs to be as 100% as Catholic as you possibly can make it, and then or the natural law, or just a natural family, the domestic family, or something. And nowadays, it's not easy for you to swing the pendulum the other direction because the world has gone so crazy. When you've got people, saying that they identify something that they're not, just being sane, just being in the natural sense nowadays makes you more of a Catholic. But I would say, our faith has so much to offer. I don't have. Thanks to the faith, I have an endless amount of content that I can make as far as music goes. I could never run out of content. You could make 6 albums out of the sacraments alone. I mean, so that's the beauty of it. You just pick the content to be inspired and make the music for the souls.
All right. So what's in the future for you? More. Now is Sacred Heart going to be part of an album, or is it just standalone single?
Yeah. So usually I'll put out a couple of singles before I put out an album. So Sacred Heart will be part of the 4th album.
Okay.
I have a John Levi is one of the members of Foundation, is a Catholic rap group. They're phenomenal. They're good guys. I think three out of those 5 guys go to the TLM. That's the irony of it. Most of the Catholic rappers out there actually are TLM fanatics, believe it or not. But I would say so. I got a collab album with him coming out, and then my fourth single album. But what I'm really wanting to do now is, because music is a Trojan horse, to be honest with you, Mike. It's for me to get back in front of the youth and young adults to perform and to speak. Because I really want to talk about redemptive suffering and the process of sanctification to youth, because that's one message they never hear.
So this is a trap door. This is a back door. So where's
it's
Admiral Akbar when we need him? It's a trap.
That's right.
Darn it, hard.
It's exactly what it is.
Darn it, hard solo. Darn it, hard solo. Enoch led us into a trap.
Yes, the music is a trap. That's all it is. It's a Trojan horse trying to get in. There's a few performances coming up too. I got one in Indiana next Friday at the Intense Conference. About 300 teens will be there, and then I got Catholic Palooza in July, which is in New Jersey. Catholic Palooza. This is the second year we're doing this. It is an all-day event, and there's various of Catholic artists ranging from every genre you could think of. And that's going to be in New Jersey, called Catholic Palooza. So check that out too. Now,
how are you going to perform live if you have to get produced in auto-tune? Is you gonna bring an auto-tune machine with you? These are embarrassing questions. I'm not supposed to ask this.
No, that's okay. I love it. Believe it or not, there is auto-tune machines out there. Nothing that I could afford. But honestly, I only perform my rap songs. I don't perform any of my melodic stuff. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for me because if I perform my melodic songs, I would clear the field, and the person coming behind me would have no audience.
Let me do that. I will clear the field.
Right, yeah. Well, Rick Barrett will be the only one standing over there on a high stool clapping for me. I mean, that's probably about it.
Oh, gosh, what a great time. All right, remember, if you ever want to do any Run DMC, I'm your guy. We can. Thank you, Mike. This is back when, at the beginning of rap, when it actually had a little bit of melody to it. When You Be Illin' came out, and then when they teamed up with Aerosmith and stuff, at least they tried. Oh, right. There was some effort. Yeah, that's right. There's no effort anymore. That's right. There's none anymore. There's no effort, no. No, it's just not. He is Enoch. Now, where can people find you? I know on Twitter, on Twata, it's X.com now. On X.com, if you just type in twitter.com/e-knock, it'll take you to him. Probably the same on Instagram. You're Enoch.
Yeah, Enoch or Holy 40 Parts. If you just put E-C-N-O-K, Enoch Catholic rapper on Google, everything will show up. All the music that I've put together, the videos, the YouTube, the Instagram, everything. So you can just stream that or share it with your friends as well.
Okay, all right. Well,
appreciate it,
Enoch. Thank you. Let's do this. Oh, let's do this again sometime. I will. If you send me the Sacred Heart, I'll make sure that it gets played on the Mike Church Show on June the 4th. We'll do it.
Yes, sir. MP3 or WAV? What would you like?
MP3 is fine.
You got it. I'll send it to you.
It sounds good. All right. Hold that thought for just a second, and I'm going to wrap us up here. And thanks for being with us. God bless you, brother. Good work.
You too. Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Folks, that will wrap up this episode of the Church Doctrine. Remember that all episodes are available on our YouTube channel. That's the Crusade Radio Network. Of course, they're all available at crusadechannel.com as well. You will also see them on my Substack, thekingdude.substack.com. So go check them out. Make sure you share them with your friends and your family here because, it's one thing to say that you hate the MSM, Malachian Satanic Media. It's another thing to do something about it. We do something about it 24 hours a day. Nobody knows about it. It's the greatest kept secret in the world. So that's all on you. So I charge you. You're the one that's got to be the ambassador. Would you do that for us? And make sure you get a download of Sacred Heart when it comes out on June the 4th. Get all our previous episodes at CrusadeChannel.com. For our producer, Justin Redman, and the executive producer of all things around here, the greatest radio producer in the world, Mrs. Maggie O'Connell. Hat tip to Magdalene Rose for setting all this up, as she always does. Our team is great. You should join us, CrusadeChannel.com. It is the month of the Sacred Heart by the time you hear this. So God bless you, Mary keep you, and let her keep you in her Immaculate Heart and his Sacred Heart. Until next time, like I just said, we'll see you soon.